Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Jake the Fate, and in this video, I'm going to be doing a review and demo on this Jaymz headless guitar. Here I have this Jaymz headless guitar, and at first I thought it was Jaymz when I first heard about this brand. But I'm pretty familiar with this because if you guys saw my James Hetfield tribute guitar that I built with my wife a few months ago, that guitar was a Jaymz guitar, and that guitar is phenomenal, and I still play with it every single day. And without any further ado, I'm just gonna take this to the workbench, and I'm gonna show you guys spec by spec what this guitar brings, and then I'm gonna give it a real quick demo and give you guys my final thoughts on this guitar. So this body is an ash body with a burled maple veneer on top, which is like really nice because it kind of has like a flame look to it. It's got like this textured burnt look to it, which you can feel it. It feels really nice. It's like a green yellow color to it. And honestly, at first it wasn't sticking to me, but it looks pretty damn good now that I'm looking at it up close. So yeah, it's an ash body with a maple veneer on top of this. So the fretboard is a rosewood fretboard with a 5-piece mahogany and maple neck. And when I flip it over, you guys are gonna actually see the ash and the 5-piece maple neck. So this guitar comes with 24 jumbo stainless steel frets. Technically 25 because there's one up here right under the nut. And these frets, I did have to polish them up a little bit because they weren't that polished, but the fret ends on these things are really nice. Like, they did round them out, but they do stick out. Some of them stick out a little bit because you guys can see here they're not that even. This one is sticking back a little bit more, and then as you go higher up here, some of them just really do stick out a little bit, but it's not as bad as like some other guitars, and you can easily file that down. As you guys can see right there, like some of them do come in and some of them come out. But for the price range, man, you really can't complain, especially because you get stainless steel frets and they're rounded. The note width on this guitar is a 41.6 millimeter with 25.5-inch scale length with a 14-inch fretboard radius. So it's pretty flat, which is really good for shredding and stuff. So this neck profile, it feels like a D-shaped neck. It's extremely thick, like really, really thick. I'm gonna give you guys the measurement once I take this thing off, whatever. I'm gonna take off these strings and I'm gonna show you guys what's under here, the pickups, this bridge, and then take off this neck and see what's under here. All right, so before I get into the pickups and into the electronics, I want to talk about this bridge first, right? So I actually have bought in this bridge in the past. It's a really good bridge, you know, because I did do a project with my wife. We bought I think it was a Geo Ibanez guitar. I forgot what guitar we did it with, but we took the headstock off and we just installed this. But if you look at Amazon, this little bridge is like $60–70. But the one that I bought came with the locking nuts, which you kind of really don't need if you think about it. There's a couple of debates on this this bridge. I'm gonna break this down real quick with the way this thing works. In order for you to tune your strings, you would put your string this way in here on the neck. I took this one off, but you put it here and you wind your string going that way. And you would have to basically, this thing comes with there's a little magnet bar right there, down there. And this thing comes with, there's like this little crank little thing right here. And you kind of just like put it in there, you turn it. And as you guys can see, I don't know if you guys, yeah, right there. Put your strings into that hole right there. And these bearings are made out of brass. So you got like these little brass bearings in there. Your string sits on this and it goes through here and it goes around in there, which is really cool, you know. Like, a lot of people were saying that this thing is crappy, but the way you intonate this thing, you unscrew this screw right there, and you can either bring it up or down, and you screw it back down until you get your thing intonated right. And these other screws right here, this is basically your string height adjustment. So this thing comes up and down. It took me a while to understand which one is which. I would say if you guys have this, if you guys buy it just separately, you know, try to take a good hour to see how this thing works. And if you guys start tuning it like this normally, it's a little bit, you know, tight. I mean, I guess you guys can unscrew these a little bit and make it a little bit looser, but I wouldn't recommend it. So I would just say
to use this thing. If you guys lose this, I mean, I've had this thing for about a little bit more than a year, and you know, it's still here. It's a really cool bridge, you know, if you guys can get the hang of it. So it was a little bit easy for me to understand how to intonate this guitar and restring it and everything. Since these things are made out of brass, the sustain on this is amazing. But yeah, I really didn't have to intonate this guitar at all right out of the box. Everything was just phenomenal. I didn't intonate it. Obviously, I had to tune it a little bit, but you know, everything was just really good on it. I want to talk about the shape of this guitar real quick. This thing kind of, like, at first I was like, what shape is this? Like, it just looked really weird. But then I'm like, I was talking to my nephew about this the other day. It was like if a guitar was like loading or rendering, it just like stopped right there. But in reality, it just looks like they just like cut off like a regular Strat looking body, like super Strat looking body. It just looks like a funky, quirky looking guitar. You get these Leo Jaymz XE10 Pro humbuckers on them, a neck and a bridge. Chrome covers on them. This would have looked a lot better if it was like a brushed chrome look to it. I think I might swap these pickups out. I don't know yet, but I do have a set of pickups that are like in a brushed chrome. So I think I might put those in here. I know it'll look a lot better. In terms of electronics, you get one master volume, one master tone, 3-way selector switch. And the way this thing is positioned here, it's kind of weird because it's like a little far back here, which normally it's like over here. So it's a lot easier to access over here. You know, I'm guessing the way they did this is so it's like different and unique. You know, they were trying to like be different from every other guitar. So they just like decided just to put everything like here. So the strap buttons, you got one right there. And you got the other one right over here on this side right here. So they're kind of right there. It's not usually like down here where it should be, like across from it. So it's kind of going this way instead of coming this way. The output jack is right over here, which is kind of, a lot of people do like that, but I personally don't, because I sometimes do play classical and it kind of does stick out. I guess you can have like an angle cable and have it like that. I'm guessing the reason why they put this here, so it's when you have your strap on, it's like right here, so you can just like strap it around your strap and it just, everything's out of the way. It's not down here, you know. But yeah, the paint job on this over here, it's not the best. Like, that's the first thing my wife saw, like this, and she was like, yeah, this thing doesn't look good at all. Like, and it kind of just like turned her off from the entire guitar. You can just see like the green and the red overlapping, and it's not super nice. But again, like I said, for the price range, you really can't be complaining about little things like that. These pickups, they're direct mounted, and the way they did this was just like they put the spring facing this way like this, which honestly I've never really thought of that until now that I'm seeing that. But they put it facing up instead of putting the foam padding here, which honestly that is pretty annoying because I've done that. But as you can see right there, it's a pretty clean route. And as you guys can see, the ash body, it's textured. You know, there's no conductive paint, or like they didn't paint the inside of it, so it was like done very cleanly. And again, the pickups, nothing special. Neck for bridge, neck for neck. And you usually see these kind of pickups on like cheaper guitars, like the brass plate, which honestly it is all subjective. Like people say, oh, it's like cheap stuff, but look at DiMarzio, they use brass plates. And yeah, that's the neck. This is the, oh my god, you son of a mother. The bridge, what's this, 92 or 26? I don't know. But again, like, it's a very clean route, very clean. And they use like this really big ass freaking cover for like that humbucker. So the way you access your truss rod is through this center hole right there, as you guys can see right there. And you have like 2 screws that go onto this, so you can screw this there. And you can also screw it through here if you guys want to, like through up here. But that's where your truss rod is. And this is just a plastic nut, nothing crazy or fancy. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the inlays on this thing. These things are, honestly, they look pretty nice up and close, but they do call it their Leo Jaymz unique fretboard inlays. So pretty unique, all right. Bars, they got bars. All right, so back here, nothing fancy or special. You got your dime sized potentiometers, your little circuit board, 3-way selector switch with your cheap little wires, and your little chiclet capacitor. And the routing back here is not the greatest. You know, it's pretty poopy back here, but
you know, again, can't complain for something at this price range. And there's no conductive paint or anything shielding, not even on the covers. That is something you guys would have to do. Ass, bam, spank that little ass, bam, spank that little ass. Yeah, the back of this guitar, man, it looks freaking awesome. I love how this looks, the red with the natural. So you got this belly cut over here, which is like, which is crazy. But I've seen, I forgot what LTD it was that I saw the belly cut was like, boom, like huge for no reason. Here's a nice satin red. And you get this right here. It's not super like contoured where it's like, but it you know, you do have accents, you know, it's very nice over here. And you guys can actually see the wood grain over here on the ash body. Very nice. You can actually appreciate it a little bit. This is the 5-piece maple and mahogany neck. As you guys can see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right there. You know, it's very smooth. It could be a little bit smoother, but I am gonna sand this neck down to change the neck profile on this thing. You know, because this thing, so as you guys can see right there, it's a 26mm thickness on the 12th fret over here. And on the Sinister Gates guitar, because I like to compare all my guitars to that guitar because that's like my favorite guitar, it's around 20mm. So I'm gonna sand this thing down, you know, to make it a little bit flatter, a little bit, you know, a little bit more comfortable to play. Yeah, that's gonna be a little project that I'm gonna do later on. If you guys are interested, I could probably make a video because I usually do that with all the guitars that are like too thick for me. If it's like a natural, I'll just keep it like that. If it's a finished neck, I'll have to, like, you know, obviously repaint it. But yeah, I'm gonna sand this thing down. And the tuners on this thing, man, honestly, they could have done a little bit better if you ask me. But yeah, you got your little Leo Jaymz logo right behind the headstock over here. Borderline headstock, if you guys want to call it that. But yeah, that's the guitar. And all I'm gonna do now is just restring it and give you guys a little demo and give you guys my final thoughts on this guitar. So there it is, the Leo Jaymz headless guitar. There's no specific model to it, they just call it headless guitar. My first impression when I took this thing out of the box, when I unboxed it, I wasn't that impressed because the inlays make it look pretty cheesy. You know, the squares. I would have honestly preferred the dots if it was just normal, you know? Because the guitar itself, it just looks freaking great. But like I said, the neck on this thing is like holding a baseball bat. Literally like holding a baseball bat. Like, you know, it's it's freaking thick. But the thing is, it's really light. You know, that's the thing. It's really light. It's compact, and it plays great. It does feel like a Les Paul neck, so it's really not shreddy. You'd expect to be like shredding on this guitar, so you know you would want a really thin neck, but you know it doesn't give you a thin neck. And the reason why I was pretty excited when I ordered it was because when I did the Jaymz Hetfield tribute guitar with the Explorer, that neck was thin. It was like freaking amazing. So I thought it was gonna be like the same because it's from the same brand, but it's completely different. And I prefer that neck over this neck. And again, the fret ends, you know, they're rounded out. You know, like they did round it out, but they are sticking out a little bit, and you can really feel it when you're playing. The pickups, they do sound a little bit muddy in a mix, but I guess if you're playing like in a group or something in a band, you really wouldn't notice. But if you're trying to record something and you're trying to have something a certain way, you are gonna hear it. But they do sound great, like, you know. And the thing was that I usually have my gain pretty high, so I had to kind of roll it back a little bit because it turned really muddy. So it did go into overdrive really nice without that much distortion. So if you guys are trying to do some metal stuff, it's gonna do it. And the thing with pickups is that when you have a good set of pickups and you can hear it and you can hear the clarity and you can hear the pick attack and everything, it makes you want to play a certain way. And if you have a pickup that's like very like muddy and just no sustain, like this thing sustains amazing. And the pinch harmonics, the pinch harmonics were amazing. I hold my picks very close to my thumb, so I naturally always like get a harmonic out, like out of habit. These pickups, I was easily getting those pinch harmonics. There's some guitars that are higher quality, you know, in terms of woods and electronics, that it's hard for me to get like good pinch harmonics. But with this one, you know, it's freaking amazing. These guitars new, they go for about $200, give or take. I think they don't have this specific color in stock. And the funny thing is that when I ordered this, the very next day they released different models, like completely different from this. It was like, I'll put a picture up there so you guys can see, like the trim system was different, the way the guitar looked, everything was just like different. The logo was actually on the body. It just looked way better than this thing. And I was like, literally the very next day, I was like, oh my God, are you serious? It is, and it was cheaper. It was cheaper too, because like I saw that these are like $209, $210 now. And those were like under $200. And I was like, what? The only complaints I got about the guitar is where the jack is placed. It's not so convenient for this thing to be here. You know, I usually do play kind of classical, but it does get in the way. And the neck, some people do like thick necks, so if you guys like a really thick, chunky neck, you know, this is probably your type of guitar. And then just like the fret ends, you know, but you know, this thing is easily fixable. You know, you can just sand this down, sand the neck to whatever specific shape that you like a C, thin C, whatever. But that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna shave this thing down to get it to how I like my necks. And I guess just like the edges on the paint, like that was the first thing my wife noticed when I took it out. She was like, wow, this thing looks pretty shitty. And I was like, no, it doesn't. It looks freaking amazing. Look at it. Oh my God, I love it. Yeah, man. This whole thing is just freaking awesome. And it took a while for me to like actually enjoy it, because when I first saw it, I had it in the box for like 2 weeks, and I was like, I guess I'll do it now. For the past few days, I've been really getting attached to it because it's freaking awesome. So, highly recommend it if anybody is interested in getting one of these. I don't know about the specific color. I know they have like a pink one. There's a few other colors, but I know they whenever this thing gets back in stock, I would highly recommend it because it does look awesome, especially with the red back. It's all satin and everything, and I love satin guitars. Not much of a gloss person, but amazing, amazing, amazing. So with that, guys, like, comment, subscribe, because this is all I do on this channel. Guitar reviews, builds, anything wiring, guitar pickups or anything. I have a lot of cool stuff coming up. I have a few Schecter guitars. I have a Solar guitar that I just got. A lot of cool stuff, pickups. I am gonna start the Shark guitar, the Eddie Van Halen Shark guitar. So if you guys are interested in that, stay tuned, because all the parts are coming in and I'm really excited for it. So Like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for that. And with that, I'll catch you guys on the next one.